and I am recording.
All right, it's the Organic Mechanic with Kelp4less.com and the undisputed hydro weight champion of the world on the other side, Harley Smith. And once again, we every time we meet, we should just hit the record button so everybody can hear what we talk about before Harley hits the record button. Because man, we have good conversations. But I'm real
Right.
excited. I'm real excited because Harley was telling me about he made a visit to a viewer's farm and went over a lot of great topics with one of our viewers. And
Mhm.
how neat is that someone can get a hold of Harley? Harley makes a trip, and we can really help people, in person, live, on the fly, on the run. I can't wait to hear more of what we were talking about. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and give us some education, Harley.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great call. There was it was a commercial growth facility here in Michigan, and they were having some problems. It's some specific problems related to nutrients. They were getting their leaf analysis, and it was coming back, low in potassium. And we had been talking a little bit about potassium in some of our latest podcasts. So he was
Seems
cut.
like
So
every
how do
time,
we fix?
yeah, every time it seems like we talk about that.
We get back to potassium. That's really important. That's the health element. It does have a lot of effect on plant physiology. But anyway, he was having them and some other problems, and but the reason they contacted is because, well, they knew me from a growth facility. They knew me from my classes back years ago when they were out in Nevada, and then they opened a new facility in Michigan, and he became the head of the thing. So he knew about me, but I told him on the phone, I said, well, we also do a podcast, a weekly podcast with Kelp4less. He says, I know. I said, you do? I watch it every week.
All right.
So, right. So
Yeah,
he's been listening in. He's a fan. Hi out there. Hi, Josh. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about facilities and all that stuff, but no secrets. But hi, Josh. Thanks for calling, and I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope I was helpful. But there's one thing that really struck me last week was that there's genetics. You always have to go back to genetics. So sometimes you have you have your environment, you have your general watering schedule, you have your nutrient schedule, your PHEC and hydro, but there's just one strain that is sensitive to it, that's a little finicky. And if it's not right, it can be very easy to overstress that particular strain. For another strain, pour it on. Give me more heat. Give me more nutrients. I don't care how salty. Just pour it out. I can take. Give me more. But in this particular case, we talked about other things too. But there was it looked to me at the end like it was low in potassium. Oh yeah, we need to fix that. But it was also being overstressed for that particular cultivar. So what do? You have to steer it more. You got to take the stress off the plant.
no, no, hold on. What do? You call Harley Smith. There we go.
We call the,
That
but here,
that's what
we have to kind of look at everything. We looked at the leaf data. We're looking at the environment. We look at everything and look for clues as to what might be going wrong. And then you look at the whole room. The whole room looks good, except for this one row. So you say, I don't think it's the nutrient itself. I think it has to do with how the plant processes it. So in this case, we said, well, when you get to that point where you see those signs of stress for that particular cultivar, you're going to need to steer it more vegetative. You're going to take the stress off, lower your EC, make it easier for the plant to take up water and nutrients in there. Condition it against stress. If you know that's on this one is susceptible, this one has trouble with stress, do the 5 parts humic acid to 2 parts kelp. Cut back on your fertilizers. Start to develop some stress tolerance so that it doesn't shut down the momentum. and then keep on going. So, I mean, that was a 5 hour conversation, but that was one of the many things we talked about that I think is going to help them in the end. And now I'll do some follow up. I'm going to help them out. That wasn't the end. Make some suggestions, get some more leaf data, and hopefully they'll be successful. And if not, we can say, let's go to plan B. It's not, it's no, yeah, that's the one thing I always remember. I talked to one of my good friends who's a very, very experienced grower, and you know him too. But I said, yeah, sometimes nature throws you a curveball. And what his response was, he said, every time nature, sooner or later, what? You're scratching your head going, what? Why is this happening now? And you really have to be a detective.
That's
But
right.
anyway, but it's thrilling to know, hey, there's people out there that are watching us, Brandon,
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
learning
that's
from
neat.
us and want to know more.
Yeah, and it's so fun to interact with. We have a lot of customers I interact with, and to get some of our viewer interaction and things like that. It's fulfilling for everybody. It's fulfilling for the people we're making a connection with. It's fulfilling for us because we all want the same thing. We all want to do the best we can. We all want the best results. We all want to keep learning, and it's such a great thing to be able to have that interaction in the scope of doing better. And
Yeah.
th- what a great time. I'm sure you had a great time. I'm sure the customer had a great time. And look what came out of it. We're more prepared for next time. We're more educated for next time. And it's all about learning. And I learn every day. I learn every day. Nothing's ever the same. And those curveballs you talked about every day, all the time, nonstop,
Yeah.
and especially in
And
an
here's,
uncontrolled environment, those curveballs
oh,
come
yeah.
constantly.
I mean, when we have it in a controlled environment, it's much different than uncontrolled. There's even more variables. But it's fun. I love talking to educated viewers and those that have been watching us for a while. They do have some. Hopefully, they are getting some education. And here's the other fun thing. My favorite thing of this is I was learning from them because they're in the real world. They're doing it. They're trying some different things along the way, and they can share their successes. They can share their failures. They can share their challenges, and I learned from them. And I actually saw some new products that were being developed too, that coming out of India right now. So there's always something new to learn. And I told them, I said, that's what makes my day. If I learn one new thing today, that is a good day. I'm not there. Really, I feel like I'm just beginning my journey, and I'm retired. It's crazy, but I just feel I'm just starting to understand how these things work together.
Yeah, yeah. Here's kind of a neat little story too on our end from one of our customers here. It's an indoor grow operation, and he uses a lot of Kelp4less products. And we talked about we need to incorporate a little bit more amino acid into his program, into his regimen. And so we looked at everything that we mix and make for him, and we have a 4-18-38 product here that we mix and blend. So we took a look at that recipe and we thought, okay, 4-18-38, let's look where
Wow.
we're getting our nitrogen and what the source is. And what we were able to do, we were able to pull back some of the nitrate and replace that with, the protein nitrogen, the amino acids, and things like that, just to work in a little bit of amino acid into a system. And anyway, that was another great interaction we were able to have is to look at somebody's program, look at the inputs, look at the minerals they're using, because I'm a big fan of looking at the source of the minerals. And, a lot of times those source of minerals are duplicated. So what if we can just critique it a little bit to get another source of the same mineral, just a different form, and add some diversity to the regimen. And yeah, so far that was really fun, good results, and those kind of projects are fun for us. And kind of you probably experienced the same thing uh, with Josh that I experienced with our customer doing that. It's just we're all trying together, and it's good. We're all trying to get to the same goal, and it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, and it's inspiring too to talk to him. On my drive home after that, I was starting to think about some of these newer things that are coming out of India, some different forms of fertilizer, some they call it nano. You've probably
Yeah,
heard about those nano calcium,
yeah.
micronized fertilizers that
Mm.
generally you don't use, we wouldn't have used in the past because they're not soluble enough. But when they're tiny, tiny particles, then water can have an effect on them. But on the way home, I was thinking, oh, what if we combine that micronized calcium phosphate with amino acids, put the two together, and then what if we added some microbes to those in the right type that they can make it more available to help break it down and chelate it. Ooh, man, that would be really interesting. Maybe there's some synergy. So on the way home, it's like, what if, what if, what if? So it almost makes me wish I was back doing R&D. Let me try mixing some stuff up. Let's do some side by side trials. So the more that we communicate with each other, the more that we can inspire, the more that we learn from each other, the the more new discoveries we'll make or new combinations of things that already are working to make them
Yeah,
work better.
that's what keeps me up at night too. Is
Oh,
thinking about
it's
all
for you.
these circumstances, all these
Right.
sources, all the how do we combine it all together? How do we push forward? And it's frustrating because you can't do everything all the time.
No,
And we want to do these tests. We want to look at these new products and things like that. And all of it takes time, but you just wish you could do that. Yeah, sleeping is such a waste of time. There's so much to
yeah,
be done.
I know. And sometimes I think I just yearn for having an actual research lab that I could do, do some different things, torture some plants in a good way, find out what the ideal dosage is, and maybe develop some new products. But you know what? I'll let somebody else do that. That's okay with me. You take the credit, you make the money. I just want to be there. I want to just be involved in the education part to maybe help you bounce ideas off of me. And I am, well, for far your viewers, I might as well know I do consulting on a limiting basis. So I'm available for actual, and you do too. I know that at Kelp4less, but to be able to do focused on your grow, your plants, your environment, um, the the resources that are available to you, what you're using now, and how to improve. So I can do that too, not just general classes.
Right, right. And that
Yeah.
brings up another point. We also have a viewer and a customer as well that has reached out to me and was asking if I could share his contact information with you because he would like to have some one-on-one discussions. And
Mhm.
I said, "Boy, I'll ask absolutely." And so,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I will forward that info to you, and if we can help somebody out, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. I'm glad we can help each other too, Brandon. I do the same when someone's asking, well, where can I get these products? What do you recommend? I say, go to Kelp4less. You're gonna
Mhm.
They have all the things we've been talking about, and I can vouch for their quality. I know these guys; they're knowledgeable, good customer support, and they have good products. So, we kind of one hand washes the other.
Yeah,
I'm not
thank you.
here. I'm really not here. Neither of us are here to sell, but we are here to educate, which will help propel
Right.
our bring our customers, our viewers for more success, and us, us
Hmm.
to bring us to some more success too, hopefully, and
Right.
make the world a better place.
Right. And here at Kelp4less.com, we have so many ingredients that we don't offer for sale. So a lot of times, I just want to say to some of our customers and viewers, if there's some really hard to find things that you guys can't find or get volumes that are affordable, give our office a call. Talk to one of our reps because we have so many items here that we don't offer for sale on the open market that we use for, uh, developing, mixing, and making some of our nutrient products here. So it can be a good resource for those other things that are not available, I guess, online or hard to find. So I just want to throw that out there too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. When I was doing R&D and making fertilizers and biostimulants and biohydroponic stuff, kind of at that time leading edge, that's what drew me to your company. Is when I met you, I said, "Oh, I use that. Oh, I use that. I use that." And wow, this one's really hard to find. I said, "These guys got it. These guys have it all. As long as there's education that goes with it, so that people will know how to use these."
Hmm.
So that's cool because yeah, that's how we got together in the first place when I saw the
Yeah,
ingredients,
yeah.
individual ingredients that I was already using in making products back then, making fertilizers. So cool. Uh, okay, anything else here? What else is going
You
on?
know, that was a pretty good discussion. I thought, I was thinking of bringing up the topic of discussing water sources and why that's important and why we should test and the different sources of water and so on and so forth. But I think we may need to save that discussion for next time. Because boy, there's a lot of information in that to go over and discuss.
Yeah,
But that's a pretty popular topic, and I think maybe next week we'll go over that. We kind of got sidetracked on this other stuff, but it's good. All this information is good, and I mean we could talk about this stuff for hours. There's literally
yeah.
hours.
Oh yeah. Just the water. We could do 3 podcasts. We could do one on RO. We could do one on municipal, and we could do a third one on well water, and they'd all be relevant depending on which one you're using. Or we can just do something short and sweet. We put all of them together. That's how big a topic it is. I wrote an article years ago, one of the first ones I think I wrote for Maximum Yield magazine, and it was called "What's in Your Water," and the whole article was about your source water, how important that is. And you and I both know how important. If someone is building a greenhouse, they want to
Oh
start a commercial facility, the very before they even build the greenhouse,
yeah.
they should do a
Hmm.
water analysis. The first thing,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
if their water quality is poor, it may cost them too much money to try to solve the problem with the water. They might be better off building somewhere else. That's how important it is. But sometimes with the hobbyists, that's the last thing they even think of is the
Hmm.
water. And uh, and that to me is one of the very first things, primary, and then build on that. So
Yeah.
if I'm working with a commercial grower and they want a custom nutrient solution, my first question is, do you have a water analysis? If they do, I want to see that. I said, oh, I can build the fertilizer around the minerals that are already in the water. I could add some more pH buffer if I need to. If it's
Hmm.
too clean, I can so that's the blank canvas, but it isn't
Hmm.
blank unless it's RO. And then that comes with its own set of challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. One challenge I'm up against right now with some of our agriculture customers is excess boron in the water.
Yeah,
And boy, I mean, this is a tough one to tackle, and it's a struggle sometimes. And anyway, I'll have to get
we'll
some
get to
input
that.
from you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, boron is when I think I was on a podcast one time and they were asking me about boron. And it was like, oh, okay, I know a little bit. I mean, I know it's sugar transport and a couple things. But here in Michigan, we don't have boron problems. So I never, all the times I was working with gardeners, I never came up. And then all of a sudden I'm talking to someone in California on a podcast and they're asking me about boron. And so I have very little to add to that discussion at that time. But then afterwards, though, I did some more research, and then I realized that when I moved out to Oregon, oh yeah, that's your your tap water could have what I would consider toxic levels of boron already before you even add any fertilizer to it.
Hmm.
So anyway, never
Yeah.
mind. But that's you get the idea. It depends on your region too
Hmm.
for your
Absolutely.
water. So you need to
No,
know.
those will be some good discussions. That will be really good.
Yeah, I had
Looking forward
here
to
in
it.
Michigan though, in central Michigan, there's a lot of it's real flat, but it's a lot of the oil wells and stuff are there. And someone wanted to grow lettuce. They want to do raft systems where they're floating and they put them on one side and they harvest them on the other side of the canal, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And I said, well, let me see your water analysis. And it came back. It was loaded with sodium chloride with salt. There must have been salt deposits there. It was the raw water had higher EC than what I would recommend for lettuce
Wow.
before I added any nutrients.
Wow. Huh.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to call him back. I don't want to tell him. I don't want to tell him, because it's bad news. It's like telling someone, oh yeah, you have cancer. Man. But I finally had to do it. Said, you know what? This water is bad. It's really low, and so you're going to have to use RO. That's going to 250,000 gallons of water. It's going to be
Hmm.
pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Maybe you should consider growing tomatoes, that can handle that salt. But anyway, I don't know where it went from there, but sometimes it's bad news. I had another one that was a school, and their EC was high too, and it was salt. We actually went to the water department, municipal, and then looked at the analysis. They pulled it from the files. And in that case, it was just pretty simple though, because it was small scale. We just added an RO filter and started, we went built from there and no problems. But I guess as far as the topic goes, we could say, yeah, a water analysis is very important. So at least know what's there, know what you're
Yeah.
starting.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Well, good. Well, that should probably be a good place for us to wrap up, and we will continue this conversation on our next one. That'll work out
Okay,
pretty good.
real good. I can hardly wait.
Okay. Good to talk with you again.
You too. See you next week. Have a good one.
Okay. Thanks, Harley.